Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have to talk about Fernando Alonso and Lawrence Stroll because of two important data points. The first data point is that in the Bahrain first testing session in the first week, Aston Martin completed the least amount of laps, and also in terms of pace, they're 4.5 seconds off of the top guy. This was supposed to be their year. They were supposed to turn up with a great car, great package, because Adrian Newey designed it, and Fernando Alonso is going to drive it, and Honda is their engine manufacturer. So it was supposed to be great, but both in terms of reliability and performance, like they're the worst of all teams. Like even if you look at Cadillac, who have everything new, they're the new guys on the block. Their car, their trajectory looks more promising. And we need to get to the bottom of it. And the primary reason is this man right here, Lawrence Stroll. Because what happens is Lawrence Stroll's engineering philosophy, not engineering philosophy, but philosophy in life in general about being successful, is just to mimic the external elements that show success or external elements that may have led to success, to just copy those elements. That's his strategy. Because when he acquired Racing Point in 2018, 2 years later, they showed up with this car, which was known as the pink Mercedes. At the time, Mercedes were the dominant force in Formula One, and Lawrence Stroll's big $1 billion idea was to just copy them. You know, like if we copy their car atom by atom, then we should be performing on their level. It worked, and they had a good season, and they repeated it again in the 2023 Formula One season by copying Red Bull. Red Bull during the ground effect era were dominating, especially with Max Verstappen. And in 2023, if you remember the first part of the season, the first 1/3 of the season, Fernando Alonso had a lot of podiums. And that is kind of like the philosophy that Lawrence Stroll carried through the years into this era of regulations by signing Adrian Newey into the team, because Adrian Newey was the G. He is still the G, one of the greatest aerodynamic minds in Formula One. And that was also the logic behind getting Honda as the sole partner for Aston Martin's power unit manufacturing. Because Honda and Adrian Newey have given us the Red Bull dominance era in the turbo hybrid era, which was the Max Verstappen era. And Lawrence Stroll, in his amazing big $1 billion brain, he is like, when I copy successful teams well enough, it works. So let me just do that with the engineers, let me just do that with the engine manufacturers, and we shall be able to create a car or build a car that will help Fernando Alonso fight for his world title and help Lance Stroll get a couple of wins under his belt. He ain't winning a world championship. That was like the big philosophy, and that is the primary reason behind the abysmal performance of Aston Martin in the testing session. And I know that it's just the testing session and things can improve, but will they make up 4.5 seconds of lap time within a few days before lights out in Melbourne? I don't think so. I genuinely don't think so. Because what happens is when you copy others, you are only copying the things that you're seeing on the surface. Even if you steal their engineers and even if you hire their engineers and give them a lot of power, because Adrian Newey is right now the team principal, as you can see, and that strategy is not going to work because there's a lot of invisible things behind the success of Mercedes, and there's a lot of invisible things behind the success of Red Bull during the Max Verstappen era in the turbo hybrid, not the turbo hybrid, but like the ground effect era, that you cannot copy just by copying the engine manufacturer. You cannot do that. And the reason is simple. Like you can find the answer to that in the 2023 season. What happened is, when you copy someone else's project, which is as complicated as a Formula One car, which is the pinnacle of motorsports, when something breaks, you will not know what to fix. When something goes wrong or something needs further development, something needs further fine tuning, optimization, nuanced edits, you won't be able to make any changes because this is not your design to begin with. And that's exactly what has happened. In 2023 Formula One season, Fernando Alonso's performance and their car's performance degraded as the season progressed. Yes, there were spots of sunshine here and there, but usually the first one third of season in 2023 looks amazing for Aston Martin. The remaining two thirds of the season in 2023, not so good. And the reason is same, because Red Bull, because it's their design, they know the philosophy, they know the underlying principles that give the car the performance. They have first-hand experience and information in developing the car. This is something that Lawrence Stroll needs to understand. Just because a team is winning with Adrian Newey and a Honda power unit does not mean getting those two ingredients will give you the same results. Adrian Newey, as genius as he is, he needed the right environment, the right people around him who will complement his skill sets in the correct way so that he can do what he does best, give the best chassis possible in a new era of regulations. The same thing is true for Honda. An engine is as good as the chassis around it. We have seen this in the last couple of seasons because McLaren, a customer team of Mercedes, was dominant and Mercedes was a midfield team. You have to understand that just copying the ingredients that other people found success with is not how you do it. Like, I'll give you a very simple example, right? Let's say you have a recipe of some dish. You have some ingredients, you have some procedures, and you give all of the ingredients and explain the procedures to two different cooks, two different chefs, whatever it is, and you allow them to follow that recipe. The dishes that they're gonna cook, the dishes that are gonna be output, they will be similar, but they will be very, very different. One of them will be better than the other. That's exactly what it is. Just because you copy the engineer, you copy the car concept, you copy the aerodynamic elements, and you poach the engine manufacturer and have kind of like a one-on-one deal, it does not guarantee you the same success. And the same mentality that, well, we're just going to copy the ingredients and all of the amazing things are going to happen, the same mindset is now plaguing in the billion-dollar brain of Lawrence Stroll, and that's why their performance in testing is absolutely horrible and abysmal. Both in terms of reliability and performance, they're in the back foot. So again, we will see how much improvement they do, how much further up they propel themselves up in the field before lights out in Melbourne, because that's the most important thing. And the race start in Melbourne is going to be phenomenal, considering the turbo lag that is there in this generation of cars, which are the horrible cars. I have to make another video about this, but the point that I'm trying to make is Lawrence Stroll's philosophy around running a Formula One team of copying the things that make other teams successful in order to replicate their success is retarded. And that's why it's failing. And that's why Fernando Alonso, and I think that this is Fernando Alonso's last season in Formula One, is going to be a painful one. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.